bookstore was actually,
What's the
if you're gonna use it for reading, buy this lower end one. If you're gonna do the other stuff instead, get the higher end. Because I don't care about the color from magazines or anything like that. I read books.
That's the reason I bought the first one like that, because that's all I was going to use it for, was reading only. And it turned out great for it. But now I've got all this other stuff. And what I really found, they make interactive books now, where you can sit there and you're reading, and like in one of the paragraphs, there'll be a highlight thing, you just touch it, and it'll take you to an internet site. They show you like a picture, like reading about a pirate ship, and it'll have a pirate ship underway. You hit it, and it'll show you a picture of a pirate ship. Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, there's some stuff like that on here. You can find words in dictionary and stuff like that. But otherwise, like I said, you get close to finding out the butler did it, and your battery's down.
I hate that. I still like the old books too.
Oh yeah.
I've been buying from Amazon for so long, I'm a great customer, so I get books pretty cheap.
It's strange because my mom is an Amazon user. It's like, she uses it more than I do.
See, I used to go to Barnes and Noble and buy all my books on Borders.
Yeah.
But then I started buying stuff off of Amazon, and I can get cheap both used section, some of the books I wanted, and I can find them. And I would look weird stuff sometimes. That's out of print, and usually I can find it.
Oh, yeah. But you buy them cheap, you get $25 worth of free shipping?
Yep.
Sometimes it's really high-end.
Right, exactly.
That's not saying anymore.
I bought a book 2 weeks ago. I just came across this series about this guy who starts out as a private detective, but eventually becomes like chief of police in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Well, they're all like the 12th book. So I said, well, I'm going to go back and read the first one. The first one was on Kindle. So I had to order the paperback version. And it was really nice to hold, and it felt good. So I enjoyed it.
Well, no, actually, my daughter. My nana took the donuts. I mean, it's hard to find that one.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Any good work?
We don't want lazy ones. And we want ones that get up early and want to go to work and get the job done. And don't forget. Well, yeah, that's the energy he needs to get started. That's excusable. What do you think? Tired of I'm sick of it. What did you do?
I have to put it on my Kindle so I can have do a quick search on it.
I'm good. How are you, sir? Nice to see you. I'm good. Thank you.
I got one birdie and a whole bunch of birdies.
Two more things out of the
I'd like to have your attention, your phones turned off, your cell phones, or put them on vibrate. And if you do want to talk to your neighbor, step outside and interrupt with the meeting. Thank you.
Good evening, it's 7 p.m. Today's June the 28th. Welcome to City Hall. Best place to be to escape the Texas heat. I'm going to ask our City Secretary, Margaret Orlando, to lead us in invocation.
God, we thank you for the benefits of life that you have given us. We will not forget that you are the source of all good things. We know that this is not only right to acknowledge, it is the truth, but it is also beneficial to acknowledge. When we give honor to whom honor is due, we reap great benefits in our lives. Gratitude rejuvenates our bones and reduces our anxiety and worries into your hands. Thank you, God. We say this in Jesus' name. Amen.
I'm going to open up the meeting with a public hearing. The time is 7:02. The public hearing is in regard to the submission of an application to the Department of Agriculture, Office of Rural Affairs for the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. The purpose of this meeting is to allow citizens the opportunity to discuss the citizen participation plan, the development of local housing and community development needs, the amount of the funding available, all eligible Texas CDBG activities, and then half of Texas CDBG funds. The public hearing is now open.
Kelly Odom. I'm with Langford Community Management Services, and I've got some information brochures here about the public hearing that HUD is the funding agency, and they require us to let you know what's going on. So I'll pass those around. If you run out, there's some more on the table. Just for some information, this is funded by HUD, Housing and Urban Development in Washington, and it's 100% grant. So you don't have to pay the money back. It's not a loan. It's 100% grant. And the city can apply every 2 years. You have to be an eligible applicant. A city that's under 50,000 or a county that's under 250,000. So that makes the city of Floresville eligible. The way they get points is through the COG, and y'all are all competing in the Alamo Area Council of Governments. So you compete just among other cities in that COG region. So 90% of the points come from the COG region and 10% come from the state. They've had many grants here before, mainly for water or sewer improvement projects. And they currently are closing one out now that they did the sewer plant. And this one, they talked about doing some water improvement projects, but the reason we're here today is to take your feedback. If anybody wants to say, well, we'd like to see you apply for this or that, but in order to score high enough at the COG level, you need to apply for water or sewer. So that's why we're here. We're just here to take your input into the process, and then the city will decide exactly what they want to apply for. And during their council meeting, they'll still talk about passing a resolution, and if anybody would like to make a comment, that's why we're here. If you have any questions about the funding or... Yes, sir.
A couple of questions. One is I searched your name and found the company that you represent. You specialize in writing these grants. Is the city paying your firm to do this?
No, sir. We write these grants at no cost to the city up front. We work with an engineering firm, and in this case, we'll work with Berry Partners. And whatever the city decides they want to do, like a water improvement project, we would just work together, and we do not charge the city, and we put together an application, and it goes to the state October 26th. That's when they're due. And then the state will score them, and they'll let the city know in the spring whether they rank high enough to get funded or not.
And then how does your firm get compensated?
Well, once the grant is awarded to the city, then the city can decide who they want to help administer the grant. They can administer it themselves if they have the manpower, or they can hire a grant consulting firm like ours, or many others. They have to go through a proper procurement process, and there's many firms that do what we do. You know, certainly we would hope that Floresville would pick us, but they do not have to. You know, they do not have to pick Berry Partners. They do not have to pick us. You know, we just do this, you know, in hopes that the city will get funded, and that down the road, if they need our help, we're here. In the past, they mainly used Raymond K. Van and Associates, and Karen Tibby was the person they worked with for many, many years, and she retired last year. So we've been working with her cities after she retired. But again, the city can pick whoever they want.
My next question as to this, you referred to water and sewer projects. In submitting the application for this grant, what kind of plan details need to be submitted?
Well, the state gives us an application packet, and it's, you know, with any federal money, there's lots of federal strings, and it's about this thick. But some of the things they'll require is that an engineer has to do a table 2, and they say you want to do water improvement projects on XYZ Street, he'll have to go and do a table 2, and it looks much like this. There's estimates, you know, we'll do X amount of linear feet for this amount of cost, things like that, and then he has to seal it.
Okay, and this engineering table 2, this is done by your firm, paid for by your firm, or is this paid for by the city?
You know, again, there's no cost to the city for putting together the application. The engineer would do the table 2, and my firm would do the rest of the application. Some of the other things in the application, you have to prove that at least like 51% of the beneficiaries of the project will be low to moderate income. So we would look up their census data, or we would do a door-to-door survey to prove that you're
beneficiaries are low to moderate income. Some of the other things in the application, you have like a project map, there's federal forms, you have to put down the streets where the project's going to be. It's just, you answer questions about your current infrastructure picture, where your water and sewer improvements are right now, what needs to be fixed, what doesn't, things like that.
So in essence, it's got to be a pretty detailed plan to say, we want to fix said streets or said water lines, and it's going to cost this much money, and that's what we're going to use it for. Has the city identified any of those projects in this?
Well, certainly they've been thinking about different projects they'd like to do, but you have to have a public hearing before you can decide anything, and that's why we're here.
Well, what projects are on the table? Which ones are being considered right now by the city for this? Instead of the citizens kind of providing a wish list, why don't we take a look at what the cities just did, a 10-year master plan that identified several water system problems and sewer system problems, and what are the priorities on those projects that are being considered?
Well, I'll let,
We've got, Jim, we have our city engineer here. This application process, we apply every year. The $250,000 that we got was allocated for the wastewater treatment plant upgrade. Last year we applied for a grant also through Karen King when she was here for another $250,000 to address some water issues, replacing lines in the downtown area. I believe Larry Heimer still has all that information. He called me today and wanted to update because it has been another year and prices changed to see what the cost of that would be.
Well, again, that's my question is what projects, as she said, the application process must identify the project, must identify the table too, and it requires, you have to have a public hearing so that you can take into account what the citizens of the community are thinking. And my question to the city or to the grant writer is what possible projects is the city currently considering for this grant?
Okay. Larry Heimer, could you go over the addressing the water line replacement in the downtown area?
Well, the project that we looked at, because of the funding, we were trying to find the right size project, and this is probably over 2 years ago. Again, we do work with the city on a somewhat regular basis, and we're doing plans and things like that for development here, but other things too. So we're down here quite a bit working with the city on other projects, but this project, or this grant came up, and we looked at several projects and tried to find some that were definitely needed, obviously, but some that would kind of fit this grant. And the project that we came up with was a replacement of a line or lines in the downtown area. The downtown area of Floresville, has a network that goes back many, many years of older lines that are 4-inch and 6-inch and 2-inch lines that some are still in service and some need to be replaced. And so this project includes the installation of a 12-inch water line from Trail Street to G Street on 3rd, which is the center kind of spine of downtown. And that line connects to a 10-inch line on the north and to several 8-inch lines on the south. And that line would then, all the services downtown would then be reconnected to this new line. The fire hydrants reconnected to the new line, so you'd have a much better, more reliable source of water. And the reason for the 12-inch is because in today's codes, the International Fire Code, because of the high fire flow requirements, you almost have to go to that larger size. Maybe you can't go with the 6 or 8-inch pipe anymore because of those fire code requirements. So that's why we chose a 12-inch. And the size of that project for that length that I just described seemed to fit this grant application the best.
Can I add one question, one other piece to this? When we go back to this 10-year master plan that M&S Engineering presented, one of the highest priorities they presented to the council was the requirement for a water model. We sat in a budget workshop 2 weeks ago and we said we would put that on the wish list for the next budget cycle. Wouldn't that water model be a little bit higher priority, or is the cost of that water model beyond this grant?
I don't know. I mean, maybe you can answer the question. It's probably more of an engineering study, and
that may not fit that grant requirement. Isn't there a requirement for a certain amount of construction with that,
Right.
with that grant?
This,
So that's, I can't answer that question directly, but
this grant, it has to go through the Alamo Area Council of Governments, and their priorities, in order for you to rank high enough in the cycle, it has to be for a specific water or sewer infrastructure project. You know, and it's, the grant is actually $275,000, and then the city is required to put in a local match, but to make your project.
Okay, so the city wouldn't have to match that. That's good.
Another issue, if I may add, the water model estimate was about $50,000, and we did put it in our budget workshop, because that, of course, you've stated that is higher priority. This grant award won't take place till when, if we do get.
Well, applications are due by October 26th, and then the state, you know, will look at them, review them, score them, and they'll let the city know next spring, probably about April, and it's a 2-year cycle. So say like 20, 30 people in the ACOG, you know, put in applications. There's only funding for so many. Not everybody's going to get funded. But since y'all weren't funded the last cycle, your chances, you know, are increasing. So hopefully the city will be either funded in 2013 or 2014. So, you know, it's kind of a lengthy process. You're going to apply now, and then hopefully you'll get funded in one of those 2 years.
Now, if, just because I don't understand the grant process, you said this is a matching grant. If suddenly in late 2013, the city gets notified, or their fiscal year 2013, hey, this grant's available, you can be funded, and they don't have the matching dollars, what happens then?
Well, say they're funded in 2014. They'll either be funded in 13 or 14, okay? They would put that money into their budget for one of those 2 years, and then they have a 2-year grant period. So say you get a grant in 2013. You'll have all of 13, you know, 14 and 15. It's a whole 2-year cycle to put the match in.
Yes, because $275,000 is nearly 5% of the total city budget. You know, if it's a $6 million budget, we're talking about $275,000.
The 275 is the grant.
Right, I understand that, but to match that with $275,000.
You don't have to match it with 275. It's not a 50-50 match.
Then I misunderstood your statement. What is it? What's the match requirement?
You can have a small match requirement. So you could have as small as like $13,750. But in order to make this project work, it was going to take a little bit more than that. But they would put that in their budget over the 2 years.
Well, I understand that. Well, I'm just saying that's a significant piece to be budgeting for. Certainly as the city is in the budget cycle, if this is something we want to project for 2014 as a matched project of $275,000.
Well, their match is not near that large.
Okay, whatever the match is, okay?
It's much smaller.
What would the match be in this case for this project?
What's the project total that we're estimating, Larry, for the replacement?
but the total construction cost is about $350,000.
Okay, so we're talking about $75,000 in matching funds, more or less.
That's correct.
That's still a significant piece of this city's budget that needs to be planned for, and I would ask the question that as we go forward with this application, that we're setting aside those funds in anticipation of receiving this grant.
That's a good point, sir, in this case.
Yes.
Mr. Heimer just spoke of the replacement line of downtown, and you mentioned earlier better chances of being able to receive the grant, or one of the requirements was 51% of beneficiaries have to benefit from that. The proposed plan will hit that low to moderate income?
They have to. You have to prove either by census data or a door-to-door survey that 51%, at least 51% of your beneficiaries are low to moderate income people.
Right.
So say you did a citywide project and your census data says of all the citizens in the city, you know, X percent are low mod and you meet it, then you're fine. If not, then you can do a door-to-door survey and to get your number. You have to prove it one way or the other.
No, I understand you have to prove it. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Will this
Yes.
project meet that, is what I'm asking?
Yes.
Thank you.
Otherwise, there's no need to apply.
Thank you.
It'll just be thrown out. Yes, sir.
Does HUD monitor the expenses of the grant at any point or at the end of the grant?
They do. And I used to work at the state program, so I know exactly how it works. Here's how Congress appropriates the money to HUD, and HUD is Housing and Urban Development, okay? And then it's channeled down through the states, and at Texas, it's housed currently at the Texas Department of Agriculture, okay? So they're the ones that issue they score the applications, and then they issue them to the cities and counties, and it's a 2-year grant period. And they come out in the beginning and they tell you all the rules you're gonna have to follow. You're gonna have to do this, and then they monitor that, quarterly. You have to turn in reports, and they make sure you're following all the federal rules. And at the end of the 2-year cycle, they come out and look at everything again, make sure.
And they audited the...
Yes, sir, they do. And you have to turn in, financial audits as well. It's heavily regulated, but they've had numerous grants and they've never had problems, so. Because they look at that. That's one of the things the state scores. How'd you do last time? Did you do a good job? Were you late? So they're in fine shape.
Any other comments?
One last question. You said that sometimes the city administers these grants themselves and sometimes they go to the outside firm. For a grant this size, what would be the cost of the administration from a firm like yours?
Most of the firms average about $30,000. And what firms like mine do is you have to do an environmental assessment before you can dig, anywhere. The federal government makes you, cover all the environmental. And then you have to make sure you follow proper procurement when you're going to go hire a contractor, that they pay fair Davis-Bacon wage rates. So that's some of the things that firms like mine do. Just you make sure they're following the rules and stay out of trouble. Some cities, have the manpower to do that themselves, and others just prefer not to mess with it. And part of your grant funds can go to pay your engineer and an admin consultant. So the city's not, again, not out that money. They can use the grant funds to pay for that as well. Any other questions?
Questions from the council? If not, I'll declare the public hearing closed at 7:22. Thank you, Kelly. On to old business, approved minutes from May 31st, special meetings. This is one of the minutes of council that we had put off the last time because it wasn't included in our packet.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 31st special meeting as presented.
Motion by Flores, second by Castillo, to approve May 31st as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. In your packet also, council, is June 14th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from June 14th.
Motion by Guerrero, second by Gomez, to approve June 14th as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries 3-0-1. We have 2 minutes on June 21st. Let's look at the special meeting first, council.
I move that we approve the June 21st minutes as stated.
Second that.
Motion by Castillo, second by Gomez, to approve the minutes from June 21st special meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. In our budget workshop, also June 21st, council.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from the June 21st budget workshop as presented.
Motion by Flores, second by Gomez, to approve June 21st budget workshop as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. And part of the minutes from that budget workshop included discussions on water models for $50,000. Let me point out that all the council here, Gomez, Guerrero, Castillo, Flores, Morones is out of town at I believe at a LULAC conference in Florida. Discussion, item number 3A, discuss findings reported audit of fiscal year 2011 as presented by the city auditor, Pat Wagner, CPA. Councilman Guerrero.
Mayor, I'm gonna move to table this, since, Pat Ryder couldn't be here today. And my understanding, she can be here on the next meeting on July the 12th.
Okay. Since it's not an action item, Lou, I'm just gonna let the councilman make that decision.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go on to new business. Going back to the grant, consideration and action to read and consider a resolution of the City Council of Floresville, Texas, authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant application of Texas Department of Agriculture, Office of Rural Affairs for the Community Development Fund, and authorizing the city manager to act as city executive officer and authorize representatives in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. The first reading. Any other action or discussion, Kelly?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Any discussion from the council?
You know, just to reinforce the city that, these type of things are needed for your city. I mean, it's just something that downtown actually needs. As you all, everything's involved, you got all kind of procurement, contractors, all kind of things that cost money. The grants are a way to work around having to pay for it and actually help out the city at the same time. So it's very important that we're looking at that.
Yes, sir. Discussion from staff?
No, sir, we ask for your approval so we can move forward.
Larry, anything?
Questions about that?
Okay. Any further citizens input?
Just a comment, Mr. Mayor, and maybe ask for some clarification, because this says it's the first reading, and I heard the city manager and the city engineer say this is the project that we're going to be pursuing on that. But the action item doesn't state the project. And I'm a little concerned that we don't specify the project in the motion, that when and if the grant is received, because it wasn't specified, it could be moved to another project, or another project could be submitted on the application.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The way that it works is you're required to have this public meeting, and they're required to have a resolution by the council to move forward with, say water improvement project, and that's what they're talking about, okay? The second requirement is that we put the application together, okay? And then before October 26th, probably we'll say September, the application will be finalized. There'll be another public notice in the paper, that's a requirement, that says the application has been prepared and it's available for review at the City Hall. And it has to be here at least 5 days before we submit it. But we'll probably have it here, 2 to 3 weeks before October 26th.
But again, okay, so it goes on display. I appreciate that and understand that. Okay, but if we're reading a resolution that says this is the project we're going to submit the application on, okay, I would like to hear that resolution that says that project.
Well, the only thing they require us to do right now is to have a resolution that says we're interested in doing an application for water improvements.
Again, I understand what the requirement is. I'm
Mayor,
simply,
this is a process that the grant application requires.
what I'm simply suggesting is that we modify this motion.
You cannot modify it.
And your agenda item says that you will read the resolution. Would somebody please read the resolution as the agenda calls for?
So, it's a test. You want me to read it, Mayor?
Go ahead, sir.
A resolution
resolution of the City Council of Floresville, Texas, authorizing the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture, Office of Rural Affairs for the Community Development Fund, and authorizing the city manager to act as the city's executive officer and authorized representative in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. Whereas the City Council of Floresville desires to develop a viable urban community, including decent housing and a suitable living environment and expanded economic opportunities, principally for persons of low to moderate income, and whereas certain conditions exist which represent a threat to the public safety, public health and safety, and whereas it is necessary and in the best interest of the City of Floresville to apply for funding under the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of Floresville, Texas, one, that a Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application for the Community Development Fund is hereby authorized to be filled on behalf of the city with the Texas Department of Agriculture. Two, that the city's application be placed in competition for funding under the Community Development Fund. Three, that the application be for $275,000 of grant funds to provide water improvement. Four, that the City Council directs and designates the city manager as the city's chief executive officer and authorized representative to act in all matters in connection with this application and the city's participation in the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. Five, that it is further stated that the city is committing last application was $55,000 match from its blank fund as a cash contribution towards the local match for its project. Passed and approved this 28th day of June, 2012. Daniel M. Tejada, Mayor. Margaret Delweda, City Secretary.
Thank you, Andy. That answers a lot of questions that have already been asked.
Is there a motion, Council?
Excuse me?
Yes.
I just need clarification if you don't mind.
Sure.
Initially, I thought the match was $75,000, and I believe Andy said $55,000, unless I misheard somewhere.
That was the last match, ma'am.
On the last grant project, so it's just to show where we were the last time, what we matched for the grant that was awarded to the city. So if it does turn out to be 75,000, then that'll be what
It'll be
Jim said,
adjusted?
budgeted adjustment.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say that this is just for the approval to get the application going.
That's it.
And as a citizen of low income in the city, and I work in the city, that I hope that y'all can continue this process to maybe get us some more help on the money. So please, I encourage y'all to keep going. Thank you, Ms. Owen.
Thank you. We have a motion on the floor?
I move that we authorize the submission of the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application to the Texas Department of Agriculture, Office of Rural Affairs, and the Community Development Fund, and authorize the city manager to act as the city's executive officer and authorize representative in all matters pertaining to the city's participation in the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program.
Motion by Castillo, second by Flores.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
may I make a suggestion?
Please.
First, may I make an inquiry on the motion pending? Ms. Odom, I would like to see, in response to the input from the community, and to be specific, I'd like to know if we could add an item 6 or item 7, whatever the next number is, to specify that the project be that as described by Mr. Heimer publicly, and have him add those 4 lines on there describing the lines that he described here tonight. Would that be permissible?
This is a format.
Well, I understand.
Format is like this.
All right.
Once we get to the next reading, then we'll get to that one.
Okay.
Motion by Castillo, second by Flores to approve the resolution for the Texas Community Development Block Grant Program application. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you for the input. Going to item 4B, consideration and action to approve the solid waste contract presented by the city manager.
Mayor, I'll turn this over to Sherry Pollack and Lou Rosenberg to give you the details on discussion session that we had.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We had a discussion session yesterday at Lee Rosenberg's office. Himself, Chris Hunt, myself, Andy, and 3 members from Allied Waste were there. The discussion was going over and finalizing the administrative part of the contract that will be our new refuse contract. A couple of the points that I wanted to put out is that the cost of the city's cost to provide the household residential trash collection has gone down. The Saturday bulk collection from 8 to 12 out of the sewer plant, which is currently being done, will continue to be done. The bulk collection 3 times a year on a citywide cleanup will continue to be done. They're also going to help us with getting word out prior to these collections and informing the public on what can and cannot be brought to the bulk collections, what sizes they are, that kind of thing. Their participation in educating the environment and on environmental things, hazardous equipment, that kind of thing as well. The city employees are no longer going to be responsible for the inventory, housekeeping, and/or delivery of any of the polycarts. Currently, we warehouse them out of the sewer plant warehouse, and city employees, if you call for an extra polycart, or if you have a damaged one, or a new one is put out there, we're currently doing that. Allied Waste is now going to be taking over that, and they'll be handling all of their own equipment. The equipment coming into the city is going to be new. Along with it, they are going to have flyers that they put out, putting information in as to what can and cannot be put in the cans. They're also going to be going by to all of the commercial businesses and speaking with each of them and talking to them about what they're currently dumping, like they may have an 8-yard dumpster or a 2-yard dumpster, and letting them know other options that are out there. One of the things that they are adding is a 3-time-a-week pickup for commercial properties. Currently, we have 1 and 2. They're going to be offering them, if they'd like it, a 3rd pickup as well. Of course, it will be an additional cost than what they've got now, but it gives them that option for that 3rd time-a-week pickup. They're also going to be working, one of the things that we talked about that was important is creating a hazardous waste drop-off site. And there's some confusion in what hazardous waste is and isn't. Again, they're going to help us to inform the public on what is hazardous waste and what is not. They're going to be a consultant for us through the program so that we can get grant funding to dispose of hazardous products. It's very expensive to carry and dispose of it, so they're going to be working with us on helping to get that set up. And as soon as we get a location set up, we'll have information that'll go out in the newspaper as well as the bills. We'll have the information at City Hall. Once we've completed all of that, we'll get that out to the customers as well. A lot of community involvement. They're also adding something that we didn't have before, which is a franchise tax. And what that is that there are other companies that are servicing areas within the city. What we'll do is we'll go and let them know that they need to contact Allied Waste and begin using their equipment. At that point, we'll be receiving a franchise tax back on that equipment for everything that we replace. So it's something new that we've not had before either. Those are just some of the big bullet points out there. The cost to the city was reduced in a couple of areas. All of the things and best quality as far as making it the best value will come off of the We've got a really great contract here. I'm looking forward to working with them, and I think it's going to be a push forward for the city. Can I answer any questions, or is there any information that I can get to you guys?
Did we finally meet the vendor?
Can we ask for the new rate percentage, if you said that they lowered it? I'm just curious.
Oh, the city's cost. Currently, the city is paying $17.31 per household, and our cost is going to be $14 per household. So it did lower the rate, the cost to the city.
The original bid was $14.30.
Yes, $14 was the original rate. In the discussions yesterday, it wasn't a renegotiation of the price that was out on the RFP. It was a renegotiation of all of the additional things to keep so that we continue the service that we currently have without raising that $14 base rate, and we were able to do that at that point.
But ours will still stay at the 17.
That we'll discuss at the budget meeting. At this point, because we didn't go over, we weren't adding any to what the city currently is paying. We'll discuss that at the city meeting.
2 questions.
Yes, sir.
One, when last week during the special city council meeting when the proposed awardee was identified, it was on a basis of two things. One, a hazardous waste collection site.
Correct.
And two, the wet sludge removal from the sewer plant. As it relates to this hazardous waste, you just told me that they're gonna be a consultant and help us get a grant for a hazardous waste site. And I raised that question because their bid was higher than the lowest bidder that was by about $130,000 a year based on the numbers that you presented. And we're not getting a hazardous waste site?
Well, let me start by saying that none of the applicants in the RFP carry hazardous waste. None of the providers actually carry hazardous waste. There are companies that carry it. They won't pick it up. ISI, ACI, Apache Disposal, or Allied. None of them actually come door to door and pick up your hazardous waste.
The point was a drop-off location.
That's correct.
Okay,
In order to do that, we have to consult with and contact a company that's going to be doing that. And then we'll be going through a grant process to pay for it, because if not, the city's going to be paying for that out of pocket.
I understand that. And that is exactly my point. We chose Allied Waste as the best value contractor because of a hazardous waste location.
No, it was an alternate bid that was negotiable. It was not, it wasn't given a value.
But we chose them because of that particular item.
No, sir. That's not the hold on there.
Go ahead.
The reason that we chose them was best value, to include the wet sludge that none of the other vendors did. This vendor does.
Okay,
that's
but
what set them apart from the others. So to say that it was the hazardous material that was the key factor, that's not the case.
But then, Andy, let me just...
Okay, Jim, the city council has already authorized the city manager to work with one vendor.
I understand that. I'm just asking a question about the process so that we're educated about it, okay? And all I know about are the numbers that we've seen. Okay, let's discount the hazardous waste site. We have still yet to see the numbers, other than $90 a ton, that this is going to save the city money. Okay.
It's already saving us money because our base rate for house to house
is going down.
Correct.
Agreed. But the low.
Again, Sherry, this is all about the 1 minute citizen input, but this is not a debate. We're not going to go over this over and over.
with the Allied Waste, we put together some processes to be able to handle all of these and get all of the things that we talked about, creating the best value. And I believe that this is a great contract. If you have any further questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Can we meet with you?
Sure.
Hello, everybody. My name is Terry Gavitt. I work with Allied Waste. I also am a member of the community. I've been driving through this city for 20 years and seeing not much love to hear voice in a problem. Sherry, pulling out a few of the benefits we have, there's a lot more. There's a whole lot more that are out there. We have a Look Out For You program where we dial in our drivers with your police force, your emergency, your medical. They're looking for crime. You'll be surprised. I talk with my drivers quite a bit. I can talk to one, they'll say, this house here has a brown dog. What happened to the dog? They get to know the community. They get to develop a relationship. We're more than just a garbage company. The value they show is a lot deeper. And anytime I'd love to speak with you. And thank y'all for becoming our partners. And that's what it is, a real partnership.
Terry, you said you've been driving through Floresville for 20 years. You live in Post, correct?
Yes, sir. I actually live out in the sticks way out there. Yeah. During that.
And I know you're going to be a great community partner also.
I Budget.
Any other, discussion, council?
I just have one, what is meant here by on page 8, page 104, where it says possible participation in county hazardous waste program review?
You know, when we do the city of Windcrest and Kirby and as far as hazardous waste goes, we subcontract that to, most cities pay that in a monthly fee, as a fee. And we contract a company by name of Phillips, and say you budgeted $10,000 a month, we just hire Phillips. We'll set up a tent and have different areas where Jim can bring the paint and if it doesn't have a label, it's tested. It's a pretty intricate process. And the transportation is as far as helping them get that, we're talking about the grant, we've already talked to A5, so you can about something to grant on that.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, there's also other benefits that could be given out, your brush pickup, so on and so forth. I think that's also included, is that right? Is that correct?
Everything, yeah.
So it's an upgrade to what we've had. It will save us money in both, not only the residential area as far as resident pickup, but also in the pickup from as she was talking about, what is our rate on that, on the sewage plant pickup? Do you remember what y'all say it was?
Currently, the WP's working is on the permit, it's $38 a ton, and
Yeah, so I mean, there's some savings there, and then of course you're saving manpower, which is money, and salaries, utilizing our employees for other areas that are critical to the city also.
And may I just add, once the budget process is complete and we know all of the rates for the current year along with the current contract, we should be able to show some more savings in the budget.
Terry, explain your brush pickup, I didn't hear that, what?
We were talking about bulk pickups.
Okay, but what about trash,
We're gonna do the quarterly thing.
Quarterly?
The 3 times a year thing where y'all bring it to us, just like it is currently right now.
Okay.
Citywide cleanup is what we currently call it, and I think we'll continue to call it and partner with Allied to get that information out. Again, and they'll give examples of what types of things will be accepted, how long they need to be, if it's brush or stick, that kind of thing.
Okay, the same thing with brush, has to be taken to the site?
Okay. And then donate to recycle, dumpsters, all that.
Okay. All right, yes, ma'am.
I just have one question. I realize you mentioned you would need a consultant. Is there a cost to having a consultant?
No.
No, ma'am, they're actually going to be our consultant, and it's included in the contract.
Great, okay, thank you.
Is there a motion to approve, Allied, Terry?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, we approve Allied Waste, contract presented by the city manager.
I second that.
Motion by Flores, second by Gomez to approve Allied Waste as the trash, waste management contractor for the next 5 years. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You said all in favor, we just said all again.
Is it all opposed? All opposed?
One.
Oh, okay, 3-1. Change it from 4-0 to 3-1. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for everyone who actually showed up to get about this.
And let me say, ISI has done also a great job for the community, and it's just a matter of dollars and cents. So the service, I think, was great also with ISI. They provided a great service.
You know, services, you've had ICI for 5 years.
Yes.
And you think they're good, what you see is going.
All right, good.
I just mayor wanted to make sure you call it for all the research and all the work that you do with research.
Good job.
And Karen, I had a lot of help from Councilman Gomez.
Okay, next item, 4C, consideration and action designated investment officer for the investment act. Mr. Johnson?
Lou Rosenberg's gonna handle that, man.
Okay.
I know that, some of the council members have been.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, one of the audit recommendations was that we appoint an investment officer. This is going to be a two-part process. This is your approval. I'm recommending tonight that you take steps to appoint the officer, and when the subsequent discussion comes up with the auditor that you have, that can be embellished upon. And at a subsequent council meeting, I'm going to recommend the investment officer's detailed requirements. That'll be one of your council directives. It'll be number 3 as it comes up, unless we have another one in between. The officer that's required under the statute can be the mayor, can be a member of the council, can be a staff member, could be the manager, could be the controller. And I'm naming the people that logically are involved in either check writing or some part of the supervision. It's my recommendation that you designate the investment officer by position, either as a member of the council, and then name the person, or if you name the manager, whoever that manager may be at the time, or it be the controller. The point of the investment officer's requirement is to take your accounts, whether it be reserve accounts, restricted accounts, or your regular budget accounts, and at least twice a year report to you how those funds are invested. That includes telling you whether it's an FDIC insured account, whether there's security pledged, if the amount is about $250,000 is insured, and to compare those investments with comparable rates, for example, the tax pool or treasury notes or whatever, to give you an estimate of how this money is being invested and what the current value of the interest rate is. We do not have or have not had that process in motion. That's part of one of the criticisms that's within the investment management portion of the audit report. I'm asking you tonight to take steps towards appointing one person who would be specifically named as required by the statute to perform that function.
Let me recommend that it not be an elected official, that we have our comptroller be that person as acting as the investment officer for the city.
Mr. Mayor, you took the words out of my mouth. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
I agree with that.
Okay. Is that a motion, Mrs. Castillo? Motion by Castillo, second by Gomez, to appoint our comptroller as the investment officer for the Investment Act. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And I apologize, I didn't ask for any citizens, but anybody have any discussion on that? Okay. Consideration and action to authorize the city manager to approve the USDA engineering services contract following the USDA approval for sewer and water services. Preliminary report by Class Associates. And it's a recommendation by our city attorney that we table this. We have a motion to table it. What is the background on that, Lou?
The background on that is that the resolution you passed at the meeting ago was sufficient by USDA, the Office of McGee, Ms. Betty Soto reviewed the resolution, and she accepted the resolution as being the starting point and asked that we go ahead and do the pre-application before we take any further steps. So at this point, it's supposed to table this, complete the pre-application, and then bring that back to you.
Motion to table, anybody?
Yes, sir, I move that we table, to authorize the city manager to approve the USDA engineering services contract following the USDA approval for sewer and water services, preliminary engineering report by Fox Associates, USDA.
I'll second that.
Motion by Castillo, second by Gomez to table item 4D. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries 4-0. All right, manager's report.
Mayor, council, and citizens, we listed from A to I on the manager's report. We are gonna jump around through the process. I've got our permit officer, code compliance individual that's gonna go over some of the details on that. I'd like her to present that.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens. What we're working on in the planning and zoning, the development part of the city is working on a new fee structure for, planning and development. Fee structures, like professional fees, to, recoup the cost of your engineers and legal and consultants. Starting a special use permit fee with all the new incoming, RV parks and your mobile home parks that are coming into the city. Impact fees, that's a huge one. We want to start doing something for the impact fees. We're waiting on the rate fee structure that we're still working with, on the rate study to get that impact fee going. Simple things like zoning verification letters I get called saying, what is this area zoned at? We need to start implementing a fee on that. Zoning change. I get calls in my office about rezoning in the city. So that's something we need to look at. Variances, fees for variances, and floodplain development fees. That's what we're working on.
And when will those be ready, Cindy?
Excuse me?
When would those be ready?
I'm hoping to get this done within the next 2 months, sir.
Currently, when we have a zoning issue and our attorney is involved, the city is currently absorbing those costs, or?
We do have a subdivision, or we do have fees that are applied to some of these issues, projects, and they do cover some of the costs, but our projects are getting much more and much bigger.
Okay.
So we need to start thinking bigger now. Another thing that we're working on, of course, is annexation. And where we're at on the annexation, if we want to really get going on the recreation corridor, we found that we're still under the August 2009 3-year plan, so we're looking to get that moving and going forward with it. And our next PMD meeting on July 11th, our board, and we're going to be sitting down and discussing on that process. We still need to work on getting petitions from the 4A corporations, because it does involve the civic center, and of course the cities. We'll work simultaneously with the cities, with Park and the 4A to get a petition going. The utility rates review, I'm still working, scheduled Mr. Gonzalez. He does office at the Valley. We're still working to try to meet with him so he can meet with us as staff to get that rate study going. Any questions, sir?
Is there any action items to take action on those?
No, sir, it's just a manager's report, and it's for the benefit of the citizens and.
Thank you, Cindy.
To know where we're at. On 4B, I'm just gonna touch a little bit on the projects that have come into our city, and a list was compiled of a Rancho Grande Business Park Oil Services Company, Blue Haven Incorporated, Freeway Trucking, Full Bore Company, Precision Tools, Standard Tools, A1 Rocket, Batch Plant Service, and Watkins Steel Tank and Vessel Company. If you haven't had the chance, please drive out to the business park and take a look at the development out there. FEDC is doing an excellent job in that. Also within our city, from August 1st, 2011 till June of this year, we've had these main businesses come in: Murphy's Gas Station, Brickell Apartments, Muscle Mechanic Massage, Floresville CrossFit Center, La Quinta Hotel is under construction in a beautiful building, Acme Gold, Holiday Motors, 3-Star Lodges, Finders Keepers, Pat's Drug and Alcohol Testing, Scoops and More, Martha's Grill, D Nail and Spa, Executive and Suites, Leland, which sells storage buildings, 5L RV Park, Creekside RV Park, Little Caesars Pizza, which is under construction right now, Riverbend Golf Club, they're hoping to move on opening their restaurant pretty soon. Sears, and then also the upcoming project is a Holiday Inn Express that we're working on right now. A couple other things that I just wanted to bring to the council and the citizens' attention, and it's listed on there, was the collective bargaining agreement. Lieutenant Clark is here, and we just want to make sure that the council understands and the citizens that is something that we will address during our budget session. October 1, by October 1, we'll have to have that agreement in place. And Chad, would you like to say anything while you're here?
No, we just like to eventually get it on the council meeting so that it can be approved or disapproved so that we can go back to bargaining if we have to.
And we did extensive work on it, mayor, staff, and then the Police Officers Association. We appreciate our law enforcement very much so, and believe that the
area that we ended up in was a positive for both the association and the city in general. The last, on the manager's report, there's some finances in there, and I'm asking that, I'm gonna wait on that till we have Pat Wagner here to present, at Councilman Guerrero's request, so we can address some of those issues all at the same time, make sure we discuss it. Anyway. The last one on the manager's report is, Parks and Recreation and what's going on in our city park. I think it's very important that the citizens are aware and that the council, I did take time and I called each council member and the mayor in regards to the incident that we have at the pool. And I'm just going to read a email from Carolyn Palacios, who is our Parks and Recreation Director, in regards to it. And I do believe that the press will be meeting with them tomorrow, correct? Okay. Incident approximately 4 p.m., June 26, 2012, at the Floresville City Park. We had we avoided a drowning at the pool of a child. The guard immediately spotted the child and pulled from water. The child was unresponsive. The guard assessed the situation and acted appropriately based on prior training. The child became responsive and was transported to the hospital, kept for observation, and released the next day. We believe that our guards acted in an appropriate manner and were successful in the rescue of this beautiful child. All guards are certified in lifeguarding first aid through the American Red Cross and have CPR APD certifications for the professional lifeguard. Season open Memorial Day and ends Labor Day. An average of 230 individuals come to our pool every day of the season. Based on current records and knowledge, our pool's always been safe. We will be performing mid-season refresher courses and additional training next week to improve role playing. 2 guards were on the chairs at the time of the incident. Others were readily available on site as count in pool would increase. And they have a specific amount of guards depending on the citizens that are in there, the participants. 1 guard less than 30, 2 guards at 30, 3 guards at 75, 4 guards at 125. Parks and Recreation Director visited families personally. Child is doing well and mother was appreciative of all who helped to save her daughter. We provided a statement to Johnny, reporter of Wilson County, needs to ensure our public that our pool is safe. And that's from Carolyn Palacios. Other things going on, our 4th of July is coming. Fireworks are scheduled on the 4th. I had a call wanting to know if that was going to be canceled. Fireworks are scheduled on the 4th of July at approximately 9 p.m. at the baseball field at City Park. Pool will open at no cost to the public during regular business hours on the 4th. The Floresville Opry is going to be inside the event center from 4 to 8:30. So if you have a chance, please attend that. And last but not least, our Summer Country Music Series, July the 1st, which is this Sunday, from 5 to 10. J.R. Castillo and Unwound will be there, so if you have a chance, please support that also. And that's the end of the manager's report.
Did you cover the 4A?
No, sir, that 4A and 4B were listed on there. There's a annexation that we're working on, but Cindy pretty much took care of that as far as the process that we're going through, and that will be taken up to those boards respectively.
Sandy, how about the Public Works Department road improvements and putting rates for the...
And like I said, at Lou's request, we added those. He said, if you want to talk about it, if you got something to talk about, you can. If you don't, then just have it on there just in case. Road projects or summer, at this point in time, is just maintenance all around town.
And the utility rates review?
That's what
Cindy talked about. And one other item, Mr. Mayor, that's on there under F, we're preparing the depository contract notice, and we'll be getting that out forthwith.
Any other discussion, council? Any last minute comments, everybody? Not meeting adjourned at 8:02.